Friends, the financial service sector in India comprises around 10% of the total GDP, when the total services sector contributes to 50 to 55%. The fund management is one of such components of the financial service sector, which also contributes to the overall GDP and the BOP, balance of payment. Having said that, we need to agree that the fund management in India is still at a nascent stage as compared to the global peers. The critical factors for the fund management are the attributes relating to the investor's potential, the market, how the market reacts, various regulations and policies. Success of fund management in India is based on the joint efforts put in by the fund managers, the investors, various policy makers. In this series of webinar, we at DVS are aiming at providing an insight about the fund management with various compliance requirements. To commence this webinar series, today we are going to see the history of fund management in India, the asset under management, the pattern of asset under management, the potential in India for fund management, the investing education, how the education as far as the investment is concerned in India. We are going to see India as an IFSC, the International Financial Service Center, and we are going to read a statistics of the Indian data IFSC vis-a-vis the global IFSCs. And to start with today, we are going to see the various funds and the regulators. We all are aware that the key regulators in India, RBI, takes care of the financial institutions. The capital market is driven by SEBI to protect the interest of investors. And we also have other regulators like IRDA for insurance, PFRDA for pension related. So we are going to see the governance structure as well before we conclude this session. My sincere thanks to Mr. Subhash and Aishwarya for this presentation. Some of the legends which we are going to see in today's presentation. AMFI, which was started in the year 1996, more to set up the minimum standard for this mutual fund industry, and this is SRO, a self-regulated organization. Asset under management. What is AUM, friends? AUM is nothing but a sum total of the market value of all the funds, which also includes your mutual fund, PE funds, VCF funds, hedge funds, or other brokerage houses which are on behalf of, no doubt, the investors, the brokers, the depositories. FDI, we all are aware, RBI regulates the FDI route. FOF, this is a new jargon. What is FOF? FOF is an investment strategy of investing in other funds and not having a direct investment into the bonds, equity, or various other forms of securities. GDP, in the preamble we discussed while setting the context for this series of webinar as to what the services sector constitutes in the GDP of India, of which what is the subset of your financial sector and what is the least composition of fund management. So GDP, we are going to see in a couple of places. The GIFT City. GIFT City is a global market hub which acts or which strives hard to act as the hub at par or above par with the benchmarked global financial centers. The first Gujarat International Financial Tech City is set up at Gandhinagar, and we are going to see India's IFSC and the first such IFSC having been set up in the GIFT City. IFSC, International Financial Service Center, as already discussed. There are other types of funds, friends, like your REIT and InvIT. What is REIT? REIT is nothing but owning or operating the property-based houses, primarily your CRE, your commercial real estate sector. The pool of investment which is into such apartments or commercial hubs, premises, hospitals. So that is your REIT, and the InvIT is similar structure like REIT, but where it is primarily, as the name implies, into the infrastructure sector. PE, we are going to see about the private equity funds. Again, the alternate fund vehicle which is available. What is a private equity fund? We'll be seeing there with some McKinsey data available on hand. And the other regulators, RBI, SEBI, for whom you have the abbreviations already known. This is the outline for today's series of webinar, first series, where we are going to see the fund management in India, the statistics, how it originated in India, India's potential in fund management, the investing sector in mutual fund with data available on hand, and India as an IFSC, various types of fund and the regulators who are monitoring the activities which are performed in these areas, and some concluding thoughts. Fund management in India, it all originated during the year 1963 when UTI was established. We all are aware that the UTI Act was passed by a separate act of parliament. Then we also had this UTI scheme, US scheme 1964 in place. And this was initially under the initiative of Government of India and Reserve Bank of India. And then during the year 1978, it slowly moved from GOI to IDBI. And in 1987, if you notice, the first non-UTI mutual fund, the SBI mutual fund, was established, followed by which we had Punjab National Bank, Can Bank Mutual Fund, Indian Bank, BOI, BOB, and during the years 1989 and 90, if you notice, we had the insurance sector also coming into play, LIC and GIC. 89 we had LIC and 90 we had GIC, General Insurance Corporation. Then in 1993, with the advent of liberalization, we also noticed that there were several private sector firms coming into place, including the foreign sponsors into mutual fund. Thanks to liberalization, the India's first private sector mutual fund was established. 1993 saw several changes where we had liberalization, we had the entry of foreign sponsors, the private sector entrance. Third, we had the first ever regulation framed. But that was not governing UTI. Hence, in 1996, the Act was framed by SEBI in a more comprehensive manner and in a very regulated fashion where all the mutual funds were included. The first private sector in 1993 was erstwhile Kothari Pioneer, currently the Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund, friends. 1996, SEBI regulated and provided a very well comprehensive regulation guideline for operations. Then in 2003, UTI was bifurcated into two. One, specific undertaking of UTI, where you had this US 64 scheme and various other schemes of mutual fund, and UTI mutual fund, which was promoted by SBI, PNB, BOB and LIC. 2003, with all these entry of private sector mutual funds and various M&As, we had as many as 33 mutual fund houses. Thus, mutual funds have been in existence in India since 1963, and the private equity funds gained traction during the late 2000s, as we see from this particular statistics. AUM of mutual fund industry, you could see that there is a steady increase in the growth of AUM. While in 2010, it was 6.14 lakh crores. In 2014, it reached 10 lakh crores. And within 3 years, in 2017, it doubled from 10 lakh crores to 20 lakh crores. And currently in 2020, we observe that it is 31 trillion. Thus, from 5 times it increased from 6 in 2010 to 20, leading to 31 trillion, and 2.5 times as compared to year 2014, it reached the height of 31 lakh crores as on 31st December 2020 data of AMFI. As on day, SEBI site says that there are 49 mutual funds registered in India with SEBI. We all are aware of the global financial crisis, which had put several economies down. India was no exception to it. Thus, it had a several hit on the capital inflows, both internal and external. The economic growth fell sharply from 9.5% between 2005 and 8 to 6.7% between 2008 and 13. Private equity was no exception to it. 32% between 2000 and 2008 exited. Thus, deal with several PE firms accounting for more than 30% of all exit in value during the year 2013. We are going to see now about the private equity funds in India. We already noted the fact that private equity funds are nothing but the alternate investment vehicle which is available, and it includes your VC firms, where the venture capital is to invest a small portion or by a minority into the startup firms. It also has the growth oriented schemes. These are some of the famous private equity funds, some of the forms of PE funds in India. The growth oriented schemes will primarily target on those industries which already have achieved the track record in numbers. Or it could also be having a controlling stake, either alone or in concert with other PE firms, so joining hands together. Since the late 1990s, equity provided an alternate source of financing for domestic businesses. And private equity in India, no doubt, has seen tremendous improvement in terms of size, and the report clearly says that the equity industry between 2001 and 14 has invested more than 103 USD billion in this country, showing it as a stable source of equity capital across various business cycles. And SEBI data shows that there are 720 alternate investment funds in India, 5 REITs and 13 infrastructure investment trusts registered with SEBI. Friends, we already noted the meaning of REITs and InvITs. What is AIF? AIF is nothing but a privately pooled investment vehicle where it involves the contribution of several investors. So it is on behalf of these investors. This alternate investment pool vehicle acts as a platform. No doubt, the investors will yield the return on their investment. Next, we move on to India's potential in fund management. If you read RBI data as of 31st March 2020, the composition of financial assets in Indian household clearly provides an alarming picture that only 7% invested in mutual funds. 56.4 B as conservative segment prefer to always invest in deposits. Those deposits are either in the cooperative banks or the commercial banks. So the 56.4 is an aggregate of these two sectors. And we have the currency, where it is in the form of currency to the extent of 13.4, and the life insurance holdings attribute to 23.2. And the percentage of total population investing in the stock market, you could see very clearly that India is at a lowest rank of only 2% as per the latest data available during the year 2020. The Boston statistic clearly says that only less than 10% of India's population is investing in mutual fund. The Boston group also provides the data is very clearly attributable to two major causes in India. One, risk averse. They are highly risk averse. And two is the lack of basic knowledge about investing. Despite all these awareness, we could see the mutual fund campaign, and we always see in the media that mutual fund Sahi Hai campaign. Of course, SEBI has instructed to tone down this particular campaign because a lot of mis-selling is happening in the mutual fund segment in villages due to the lack of awareness amongst the rural crowd. Despite all these awareness campaigns put forth by mutual fund and various other SROs, it is comprising only 7% of the total investing population. And the first step of fund management thus is pooling of funds from various investors. And this is possible only if investors are willing to invest. So willingness is the first primary critical factor for investing in the fund management sector. This statistics also throws a light for the major cause for less than 10% investing in mutual funds because of lack of education. The first data talks about ILO's data across the globe, where India, the employment in financial sector is as minimal as 1.1%. And the enroll vis-a-vis the pass out among Indian UG undergraduate commerce graduates, if you notice, in 1819 it is 40.3 lakhs enrolled vis-a-vis 9.6 lakh pass out. The number of enrolled mass, if you see, is almost the same during the past 4 years. And also the pass out percentage, if you see, there is no major change as compared to each year. 9.6 lakh, 9.3, 9.4, 8.5. But the gap is what is alarming between the enrolled and pass out. That number has to increase. Not only that, there should certainly be a paradigm shift from the conventional education to contemporary education, and thrust should be given for investing in various such fund management portfolios. This is possible only if the finance graduates are promoted and the percentage of employment in the financial sector is going to grow. Only when these two happen, we could see a vivid result in terms of performance in the fund management sector. Thus, to invest in funds, some of the soothing factors available are we do have expertise of fund managers because they come with credentials in terms of experience, qualification, and the background with which they assess the stock before the funds are invested on behalf of the investors. And also the investors cannot contribute the time and effort while investing in the stock market on behalf of those investors. The fund managers are certainly going to play a better role, having the necessary expertise and wherewithal. The market premium is certainly a wide, considerable factor, and investors certainly lack the necessary knowledge in that particular field. The portfolio has to be diversified and invested so that the investors can have the risk appetite absorbed, and there shall be an efficient investment in the funds. Thus, the expenditure of this investment will be spread across a pool of investors, and also the risk will be spread across the group of investors. Having said that, some of the critical factors in fund management are the external factors like the regulations, the market, the government policies, which may destroy the strategy of investing. Though the fund managers are going to take care with their expertise in investing, they are not going to be accountable for poor result. That is again a lacunae. And failure to identify clearly the risk behind the scheme because of the lack of investors' awareness while they make such investment decision. And also, as compared to the peers, if this particular investment is going to downplay, then that they will certainly have it as a factor to be considered for the investor confidence to diminish. Some of the recommendations are certainly India has to improve in both employment and education. Having noticed this chart on the UG Commerce graduates, and also India's role in the global arena when compared to the finance sector employability. All these graduates should certainly be given the continuous professional education in terms of employability of all these finance professionals. No doubt, COVID times, these unprecedented period has clearly indicated that there is a surge in the number of retail investors in the market. However, widespread awareness is certainly required as a thrust amongst Indians when it comes to both stock market and mutual funds. FDI norms could further be liberalized so that we have more FDIs pumped in various sectors, leading to a boom in the fund management sector. We are moving on to the next segment for today, which is investing in mutual fund. The first pie chart talks about the institutions investing. The second chart depicts the individuals investing in various schemes or the funds. You could see that the individual investors are doing 69% in equity, whereas the institutions are contributing only 10%. And the major chunk in institutions is 43%, which is towards the debt-oriented schemes, whereas the individuals are doing only 25%, very less as compared to the yield derived in debt-oriented schemes. And also your exchange-traded funds, fund-on funds, you see that the institutions are doing a good role of 16%, whereas the individuals are doing very less of only a meager 1% of investment. The money market instruments, which could be your commercial paper certificate of deposits, treasury bills which are done by Reserve Bank of India. More for liquidity. The short-term liquidity arrangement is well managed through the money market instruments. So there again, the institutions are doing a good job of 31%, whereas the individuals are yet to improve on the scale from 6%. This is again a composition of mutual fund and debt, equity, liquid and ETFs, where ETFs again 91% by institutions, whereas 9% only done by individuals. Liquid money market again, there is a lot of scope for improvement by the individuals, where 83% chunk is contributed by only institutions. As seen in the previous slide, individuals prefer to invest more in the equity oriented scheme than in debt oriented scheme. We all have observed that GIFT City was set up in Gujarat in 2015 as a global market hub or a financial hub, setting as a global benchmark at par or above par with a global benchmarked financial centers. And Gujarat is thus leading the FDI. If you see the April to December 2020 FDI result, there is a significant increase and Gujarat is leading in this particular top 5 states, followed by which you have Maharashtra, Karnataka and Delhi. Several AFs have either set up their operation in GIFT City or in the process of setting up their operations in GIFT City. And the management fee which is thus received by the fund managers for managing the offshore funds is going to yield significant export revenue of say about USD 1.4 billion by the year 2025 if the India dedicated fund offshore funds are going to move their fund management activity base to India. This is the forecast. India is still at a nascent stage as compared to global peers in the fund management IFSC sector. However, it is a comfort to note that India's progress is steadily improving. Hong Kong, Luxembourg are leading by 5,251 USD billion dollar, followed by which we have Singapore at 2,900, India at a beginning stage of 480 USD billion dollars. Friends, the various types of funds or the mutual funds where you have the equity, debt, hybrid, ETFs, growth funds, income funds and other tax saving funds. Again, mutual fund, we already noticed that it is again investment by a pool of investors and which is managed on behalf of those investors, and SEBI regulates the fund managers, mutual funds and the fund which is being managed more to protect the interest of investors. The other type of fund is the private equity fund, which is the alternate investment vehicle available, where AIF is the privately pooled investment vehicle, and we have 3 categories over there: category 1, 2 and 3. Category 1 takes care of the investment in startup, your VC funds, early stage ventures, social ventures, SMEs and infrastructure. Your category 2 takes care of your private equity, funds of distressed assets and real estate. Your category 3 takes care of your hedge funds and your private investment in public equity. Other types of private equity or your REITs, InvITs, infrastructure trusts. Friends, when it comes to banks, be it your Indian banks or foreign banks, it is well regulated by RBI. Not only that, when there is going to be an investment by FDI or FVCI, foreign venture capital investors, it will be governed by RBI because it is overseeing the authority of payment and settlement systems in India. The capital market sector in IFSC. So these are the three centers primarily broadly classified: your banking sector, which comes under RBI, your capital market, where your SEBI, your stock market, stock exchanges, custodians, depositories, investment advisors, mutual funds, alternate investment funds, portfolio managers, all these areas are well governed under your SEBI, which protects the interest of investors and promotes and regulates the security market system in India. Third one, your insurance sector, where we saw the Indian insurer or your Indian reinsurer, foreign insurer or foreign reinsurer, or your Indian broker. All those segments under your insurance sector will be governed by IRDA. Also, you have your PFRDA. IFSCA is the center established in a special economic zone, which has been approved by central government under section 18(1) of SEZ Act. This was enacted on 19th December to provide for establishing an authority to develop and regulate the financial services market. More particularly in the multi-services SEZ unit set up in IFSC, GIFT IFSC as we call it. On 27th April 2020, DEA notified the establishment of IFSCA, International Financial Service Center Authority, to function as unified regulator to exercise the powers. So thus they exercise the wide powers of SEBI, RBI, IRDA and PFRDA, assuming wider power and to regulate those multi-services SEZ units set up in GIFT IFSC. Friends, with this we are concluding the first set of series of webinar on fund management in India. We already noted that 50 to 55% of financial service sector, where 10% comprises your financial service sector, where fund management still has a large role to play. Having said that, India is still at a nascent stage due to lack of awareness, investment awareness, and the poor employment and education. Once the practical training is provided, we are certainly going to reach greater heights, and thus we can reach the goal of becoming a $5 trillion economy by 2025. GIFT City is no doubt a maiden IFSC in India, but with the strong objective of promoting ease of doing business and FDI liberalization in place, it is sure to attract more capital, and we are going to see a better data of Indian IFSC as compared to global IFSCs. Thank you very much, friends. Take care. Stay safe.